status that we envisage. The results of the study indicate that the learners research and can construct knowledge. They are creative, innovative, and communicate better. The details are in the summary that will be presented by the executive director. However, the study reveals some gaps that may impact the teaching learning process, and these include inadequate library with internet facilities that the learners need to aid their research work. Large class sizes. Both teachers and learners who participated in the study point out that this makes it difficult for teachers to attend to learners who may need help. The expenses associated with project work, the inadequate time for learners to do their research. Here they appear to suggest that classes should end earlier. The possibility of this could be explored. And the other issue was the integrity of the continuous assessment scores. The teachers in this study expressed worry that some schools are submitting scores that are not derived from the actual work of the learners in the course of their learning. Mama, the integrity of scores is something that the board takes very seriously. Provisions have therefore been made to institute a rigorous monitoring and evaluation exercise in schools throughout the country to ensure that schools are adhering to the guidelines set by the board and that the scores are reliable. The other continuous assessment issue the board will address is the late or non-submission of the continuous assessment scores. Many schools submit continuous assessment scores months past the deadline, putting the affected learners at risk of not being graded. Schools cite inadequacy of internet facilities and or lack of expertise. The board will apply appropriate sanctions to such schools. Role the teachers play. The board included them among the stakeholders to be engaged, along with chief administrative officers, district education officers. The board, therefore, expects them to ensure that the continuous assessment processes are monitored and scores are submitted. I would like to congratulate the candidates who have qualified for the award of the UCE certificate. For those who will want to try again, the board has taken the decision that their continuous assessment and project scores submitted for Senior 3
Two worlds, one clear connection. Airtel Volte makes multitasking easy. For iPhone, go to Settings, Mobile Data. Mobile data options, tap Voice and Data, then select 4G, Volte on. On Android, go to Settings, Connections, Mobile Networks, turn on Volte for Airtel.
Airtel Volte, the power of clarity.
The majority of teachers have done extremely well. Thank you. I thank the parents and the guardians for supporting the learners. And I'm grateful, Mama, for delegating Honorable Dr. J.C. Moyingo, Minister of State for Higher Education, to officiate at the swearing-in of the members of the 12th Governing Board for UNEB. The occasion went smoothly last Monday, 9th February 2026. This has ensured that all the functions of the board have not been interrupted. Mama, I also concur with the MC in congratulating you and Mzee for your expertise in speaking different languages in the country, in supporting Mzee during the campaigns, the results of which have left many of people who are doubting how powerful Mzee is, particularly how powerful you are in campaigning. Thank you for having supported Mzee. It's now for me, Mama, to invite the Executive Director to present the release statement of the 2025 UCE examinations. Thank you for listening to me.
The First Lady and the Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, the Honorable Ministers of Education, State Ministers for Education, and Mama, you will allow me to ride on the protocol already established by my chairperson. I seek your indulgence, Mama, to allow me to present briefly a summary of the study that my chairperson referred to in his remarks. Thank you, Mama. We have circulated some copies of this study. This is brief, so the researchers that are sitting here should not start asking questions about methodology and literature review and so on. This is a synopsis, a very brief summary of what happened. Mama, as a background, UNEB prepared to conduct the end of cycle assessment for the first cohort under the new lower secondary curriculum, which we now appropriately refer to as the competency-based curriculum. Some stakeholders in education wondered whether the products of the new curriculum were indeed better than those that went through the old curriculum. On the face of it, the new curriculum was meant to produce learners who would exhibit the generic 21st century skills of critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration, problem solving, among others, skills which were majorly lacking in the based curriculum. However, 4 years into the implementation of the curriculum, no empirical evidence existed that the learners were indeed acquiring these skills as casual observations appeared to suggest. The Honorable Minister of Education and Sports posed a question, that was you, Mama. What is the difference between the learners who have gone through the new curriculum and those that went under the old curriculum? UNEB conducted a study in an attempt to provide an evidence-based answer to the Honorable Minister's question. The results are a summary of the main study document. This study was conducted alongside the 2025 National Assessment of Progress in Education NAPES survey to assess our Senior 2 learners' achievements. The methodology we used, Mama, was face-to-face interviews, which we held with 44 head teachers, and focus group discussions, which were conducted with teachers and Senior 4 learners in 171 secondary schools across the country. These schools, Mama, were part of those that were selected for the 2025 NAPE survey. The interviews and the discussions with the school heads, teachers, and the learners themselves were deemed to be the most efficient way to gather insights into the benefits of the curriculum to the learners and to their local communities. The schools that were selected, Mama, were both government-aided and privately owned schools, both rural and urban, and boarding and day. So all the categories of schools were included in this study. The key findings, Honorable Minister, results showed that 93% of the head teachers that we were interviewed and the teachers in at least 96% of the schools that were surveyed agreed that the current learners demonstrate stronger problem-solving skills. That is, they can reason and analyze, they can do research on their own. They have also communication skills. In other words, they can communicate more fluently and have self-esteem. And creativity and innovation ability, that is, they are more practical, they think and reason better compared to those educated under the old curriculum. Under the sub-theme of problem solving, one of the head teachers remarked, teachers under the new lower secondary curriculum are able to identify problems and propose solutions. Unlike those who studied under the old curriculum, they demonstrate stronger critical thinking skills. One of the learners in the study had this to say, we had wastes deposited everywhere around our school. We asked ourselves what we could do to solve that problem in our environment. We have now resolved to recycle the plastic wastes. Under communication sub-theme, one of the head teachers commented, learners under the current curriculum are able to explain concepts with confidence. They also demonstrate stronger creative writing skills compared to those who studied under the old curriculum. In one of the schools surveyed, a teacher remarked thus, current learners are able to express and defend themselves more effectively. They are confident and can communicate fluently with their teachers as well as at other fora. Yet another teacher said, presentation that the candidates, the learners do, build self-confidence, self-esteem, and confidence in the learners. This view was also supported by a student who said, you are motivated to acquire more knowledge. In class, we have to present in front of our classmates. You become strong, courageous, and able to communicate better. There were friends who were introverts when they joined Senior 1, but by Senior 3, there was a great change. Under creativity and innovation, one of the head teachers said, these learners are more creative. They can do things that are unique, which was not done by the learners in the old curriculum. Another head teacher said, in the old curriculum, teachers were spoon-feeding the learners. This killed their creativity. In one school, a teacher said, now, when you go to class, you have to be prepared. You can be challenged by the learners who had already researched on the topic. Another teacher said, with this curriculum, you must be in class. In the past, you could just send notes to the class prefect for the learners to copy. Mama, on the projects, the usefulness of the projects for the learners. Generally, the head teachers, 98% of them, and teachers in 91% of the schools surveyed agreed that the projects that the learners undertake at school are useful to the learners and to the local community. Learners also concurred with this observation. Learners' projects can be categorized into farming. In other words, they're doing mushroom or vegetable growing, they're establishing nursery beds, making organic manure, beekeeping, and also making pesticide repellents. Under sanitation and health, they are making liquid soap and dustbins. Under construction, we have our learners who are making pavers. They are also designing pulley systems to scoop soil while digging pit latrines or fetching water from a well. They are also making doormats from sisal and thread. As far as environmental conservation is concerned, they are making charcoal briquettes or stoves. They are recording songs on environmental conservation practices, and they are also planting trees. And they also have home economics related initiatives, like they are making avocado oil or shoe polish, and they are also baking bread and cakes. One head teacher explained the benefits thus. Some learners have developed practical marketing skills. For instance, a learner composed a song to promote a hotel in the community. The song attracted more customers, and the hotel owner subsequently offered to pay the learner's tuition after he has finished Senior 4. Another head teacher remarked, some learners have established their own gardens in which they cultivate onions, eggplants, tomatoes, and cabbages. They sell the produce and earn money to pay school fees and acquire scholastic materials. This view, Mama, is supported by a learner who said, even if I drop out of school, I will not be stranded. I have learned how to make my own money. Another learner remarked, project development makes you critically see how to apply knowledge, e.g. to income generation. You write a report on what you want to do and you share. On the relevance of the learners' projects to the local community, we have the management of environmental degradation. One of the head teachers said, most of our learners' projects utilize waste materials from the community as raw inputs. For instance, all plastic bottles, used glass, and glass bottles are recycled to create dustbins, building materials, and decorative art pieces. A teacher in one of the schools surveyed explained, some learners in our school initiated a nursery bed project, and with guidance and support from the local leadership, they've been able to plant over 200 trees in the community. As a source of income and job creation, a teacher in one of the schools said, the community members have benefited from some of the projects in the form of sale of products such as liquid or bar soap, shoe polish, and agricultural produce at subsidized costs. This has enabled some business persons in the community to obtain sufficient supplies for their businesses. This they obtained from the school, the projects of the learners. In terms of transfer of skills to the local community, one of the head teachers stated, some parents in our community have organized weekend training sessions facilitated by some of our learners to learn how to make good quality liquid soap. And on increased agricultural production, teachers observed that some learners who offer agriculture have been helpful to the community members in identifying suitable crops for their soil, as well as appropriate fertilizers, pesticides, and appropriate stages of their application. As if to summarize, Mama, one teacher said, "This is a very good curriculum if they don't kill it." And a student asked, "Is this curriculum in primary schools also?" They cited some challenges faced. The head teachers talked about the projects being useful but being expensive to implement, and they take a lot of time. Teachers feel that class sizes are large and they find it hard to attend to individual learners more effectively. They also contend that CA, or continuous assessment, works well only if you have small class sizes. Learners seem to have the same feeling about class sizes. One of them said, "For example, we are 75 in our stream. Teachers cannot attend to each of the students who learn at different speeds." Learners also feel that they don't have enough time to do their own research work. One said, "Lessons should end early to enable us to do our research." The learners complained about another problem, that is lack of internet facilities. They feel that their libraries need to be updated to have internet access to search engines. One said, "In boarding schools, they don't allow smartphones. Students have to depend on the library. Day scholars have a chance to use the phones when they're at home." Mama, teachers also feel that the resource materials, including books, are still not adequate. And as the chair of the board has said, the teachers are...
Traffic jam holds everyone, but Gigi never holds me. I shop anywhere.
Why stress offline? Buy, sell, use. Gigi.
One of them said, "Some schools have no computers, but they also give CA scores on computer studies." Mama, this study covered only 170 schools, although they were very scientifically selected, and we think the findings can be generalized. Since this sample was representative, there may be need to do a bigger study with more stakeholders involved. Mama, this is the end of the brief report on the summary. The full report is available, but we believe for this function, this is enough to give the people of this country some information about the beauty of the competence-based curriculum. And as the teacher said, it is the responsibility of everybody to ensure that it is not killed, because every stakeholder has a role to play in the success of this CBC. Mama, permit me now to turn to the statement of release of results of the 2025 Uganda Certificate of Education examination. Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, the Uganda National Examinations Board presents to you the results of the 2025 Uganda Certificate of Education examination. The examination was successfully conducted under the theme Embracing Security and Holistic Assessment of Learners in a Dynamic Environment. Mama, these are the results of the second cohort of candidates under the competency-based curriculum. Registration for the 2025 exams. The total candidature, Mama, was 432,163 candidates who sat from 3,975 examination centers who registered for the examination. This compares to 359,417 candidates in 2024, giving a very big increase of 72,742 or 20.2%. Mama, I want to say this is the largest increase in candidature we have ever recorded in the UCE examination. And it is a testimony that those that are coming through, the increases of candidates coming through from primary are also staying on up to this level, and we are having fewer learners dropping out. Out of these, 204,292 or 47.3% were males, while 227,817 or 52.7% were females. Again, Mama, we have been reporting at the lower level at primary a higher percentage of females sitting, and here again we are seeing that those female candidates have also stayed in school and they are coming through at the UCE level as well. 154,642 or 35.8% were beneficiaries of the Universal Secondary Education Program, and 277,521 or 64.2% were non-USE. A total of 429,949 or 99.5% of the candidates were present in the examination, compared to 357,120 in 2024. So we note that only 2,214 or 0.5% were absent. Just like in 2024, when the rate of absenteeism was 0.6, it continues to drop. And this means we are having less wastage. I also report on the registration of special groups. One, the special needs candidates. Mama, this 2025, a total of 708 SNE candidates comprising 342 males and 366 females registered, compared to 743 in 2024. This consisted of candidates who are blind, those with low vision, those that have hearing difficulties or the deaf, the dyslexics, and the physically handicapped. We also have those that we categorize as others. These have other forms of disability that only they don't require any special provision apart from extra time. Mama, these others include the sickle cell anemia learners, the epileptic learners, and those that have what we call circumstantial disabilities. They may be victims of accidents or some negative development in their health that comes just before the examination. Mama, almost all the special needs candidates sat except just 4. As usual, the board made the necessary arrangements for these candidates to sit the examinations. This included modification of questions, braille, having support personnel, language interpreters, and question papers that are enlarged for the low vision candidates. And of course, they were all allowed 45 minutes extra in each paper. Mama, the other group of special candidates are the prison inmates. We registered 52 candidates from the Uganda upper prisons in Luzira, consisting of 36 males and 4 females, and 12 from the Mbarara main prison, all were males. Somebody posed a question whether these are the only prisons where they offer this kind of facility, and what the board can do to encourage or to have prisoners in the other prisons as well. And our answer is that as soon as the prison service approaches us to establish an examination center in any of the prisons, the board is more than happy to do so, to assist the prisons service in their efforts to rehabilitate the inmates. Mama, we compare the general candidates' performance for 2025 and 2024 examinations. The format of reporting performance under the competency-based curriculum is by achievement levels indicated by letters A, B, C, D, and E. And the table that I have shown below shows the achievement levels and what they mean, the generic descriptors. The achievement levels for each subject are arrived at through a systematic and technical process which consists of statistical and psychometric methods that combine the learner's score based on continuous assessment done at the school and the end of cycle examination score in the proportion of 20% the continuous assessment and 80% the end of cycle by UNEB. So in the tables, table number 1, we have the achievement levels and their descriptors. A is referred to as exceptional and the descriptors are provided. B is outstanding achievement. C is described as satisfactory. D is basic. And E is elementary. That is somebody who is demonstrating below the basic level acceptable for the UCE certification. We now also give the performance of candidates who sat in 2024, and we also compare this to 2025, and we compare this to 2024 in terms of the grades that have been shown. Our grades are given as result 1, result 2, and result 3. We will explain this in a while. We note, Mama, that in 2025, 428,628 candidates representing 99.69% obtained result 1, meaning they qualified for the award of the Uganda Certificate of Education certificate. This is a very, very high level of achievement compared to 98.1% in the previous year, showing an improvement in performance. Result 2, we have 1,191, and result 3, which is those who did not get even a single score at D, they are a negligible 130. As we can see from the table, achievement levels in the 2025 examination have improved compared to that of 2024. The overall results show that 99.69% of the candidates who sat qualified for the UCE certificate. This will be indicated on their transcript and certificate as result 1. The percentage of candidates that do not qualify for the UCE has also dropped very significantly from 1.9% to only 0.31%. These will respectively be shown on their transcripts as result 2 or result 3. Mama, result 1 means a person who has qualified for the award of the UCE. They may be those who have got outstanding or exceptional performance, or they may be those who have got satisfactory, or they may be those that have got basics. All these have qualified and they are given as result 1. It does not mean, Mama, first grade in the old sense. So we do not expect the kind of celebration that we had in the country last year when we had not quite understood what result 1 meant. Result 2, Mama, indicates that a candidate did not fulfill all the conditions for the award of the certificate. For example, a candidate may not have had a project score submitted, or a candidate may have sat fewer subjects than is the minimum that is required, or a candidate may not have had a continuous assessment score submitted for him or for her. Result 3 is for a candidate who has scored below the basic. In other words, this candidate has E in all the subjects that he or she has taken. Give another table, Mama, to compare the candidates' achievement levels of 2025 and 2024 in the compulsory subjects. There are 10 subjects which are either compulsory or they are taken by the majority of the candidates. We have given this in terms of A, B, C, and D in the different subjects: English language, Christian religious education, down to art and design. Also the number of candidates that offered each of those subjects and the percentage of those that are exceptional than those that are outstanding, satisfactory, basic, and then below basic. And we have compared these to 2024. Higher exceptional levels of achievements are noted in Christian religious education, geography, and English compared to 2024. More candidates have achieved at the higher levels of C and above in 2025 compared to 2024. Mama, this is quite also encouraging when we look at the sciences, where the percentages of candidates who have not achieved at least a D level has dropped very significantly. Mama, if we look at the column of E in 2025 against the core science subjects, physics, for example, in 2024, 12.8% of the candidates did not score even the basic level. That has dropped very significantly from 12.8 to just 0.7. In chemistry, we also had 6.1% in 2024 failing to achieve the minimum D level required, but that has also dropped to 0.6 this year, 2025. And similarly, we had 2.3% failing to get the D level pass. Now that has dropped to 0.6. So we note a very encouraging performance in science subjects. In the science practical assessments, candidates were expected to use a given scenario and the materials that are provided to develop the aims and hypotheses. They should plan and carry out investigations and draw conclusions. Our examiners or scorers who marked these papers reported that although significant improvements have been made, as we have seen in the table, the problem as observed in the 2024 examination remains. That is a failure of the candidates to interpret the scenarios that they are given or to connect these scenarios to the materials that have been given to them in real life situation, or to interpret the results of the experiments that they have carried out and create meaning that connects to everyday situations. The challenge that cuts across all areas, Mama, is the difficulty candidates showed in linking scenarios to creative thinking and problem solving in real life situations. These competencies are the core of the competency-based curriculum. The implication that is apparent is that the teachers need to do much more to guide the learners towards this focus. Mama, this curriculum is not merely about learning of facts.
Hard work is important, but farming becomes a business when the market is clear. For 10 years, Harvest Money has helped farmers meet the market. If farming is your business, come and learn how to make it pay. Colorado Grounds, 27th of February to 1st of March. Entrance is 10,000 shillings plus 10,000 shillings for training. To book a stall, call 0772 354 940. Harvest Money Expo is brought to you by
and females, and we can see the percentages of candidates attaining those levels of competency, and you can compare between the two. The female candidates, according to this table, demonstrated higher achievement levels in English language and Christian religious education. In the other subjects, the proportions of females in the exceptional and outstanding levels are slightly lower than that of the males. We now look at the same information, this time taken just subject by subject. Mama, we have some graphs that we are presenting there that shows for each subject the males and females. We see that all the graphs, when you look at all the graphs of English and the other subjects, we can conclude, Mama, that the comparison between our two genders, that is males and females, are very, very close. English language, we have reported that the females performed better, and you can see the graphs, there is some gap between the two curves. Similarly, in Christian religious education, there is also some gap, particularly at the A and the B levels. But the other subjects, they are really very, very comparable. What we can also see from these graphs, Mama, is that in almost all the subjects, we are seeing normal distribution of performance, with the model or the majority, the largest number of our candidates scoring at C levels. This can be seen in all the figures that we have given up to figure 10. We also report on the achievements of special candidate groups. For the inmates at Luzira, of the 40 candidates who registered, 39 sat, while one did not sit. All the candidates qualified for the UCE certificate. At Mbarara Main Prison's Inmate Secondary School, the 12 candidates who registered were all present for the examination, and Mama, all of them also qualified for the UCE certificate. The special needs we have disaggregated by gender and also the type of disability, and we have shown them in the table number 5. And that table shows that 695 or 98.2% of the special needs candidates qualified for the UCE certificate, while only 9, that is 1.8%, did not qualify. And that is also an extremely high, and is comparable, Mama, to the general performance of the other candidates as well. Mama, we did obtain feedback from our candidates immediately after they sat the papers as they got out. We chose to find out from them what they felt about the examination papers they had just done. And so we took a random sample of 36,546 candidates from schools in 118 districts. 49.7 of these were female and the other female, and we used this to obtain a feedback on the key quality aspects of the examination. We administered a short questionnaire immediately after getting out of the examination room, as I've said, and we did this on different dates over a period of 2 weeks. From their responses, 96.3% of the candidates indicated that the items in the examination papers were within the syllabus. They also reported that 74.7% of them found the time allocated for the examination to be adequate. In other words, they were able to finish the examination, while the other 25.3% found the time a bit short. And 88.2% said the items were very clearly presented to them. In terms of level of difficulty of the examination, 4.7% said they found the examination very easy, while 66.4% found the examination to be fair, while the other 28.8% felt that the exam was difficult. Mama, these findings agree with the general performance of the candidates, which indicates that the largest number of our candidates achieved at the competency level of C, and it's almost about the same percentage as the ones that said they found the examination fair. A short comment on examination malpractice, Mama. The cases of examination malpractice at this level are few, with only 63 cases that have been reported. I think because the nature of the items in the question papers do not lend themselves easily to malpractice. However, the cases that have reported have been mostly in mathematics and in the practical papers of physics and chemistry and biology. In these cases, the evidence available is that the candidates were given experimental results by the teachers to merely copy in the tables that they have drawn. This is a hangover, Mama, from the kind of thing we used to see when we were under the old curriculum, where teachers took it upon themselves to carry out the investigations and give the candidates the results that they have worked out for the candidates to copy. When you see under the CBA setting, the competency-based assessment setting, candidates are to use a scenario given in the examination paper to design and carry out an investigation using the apparatus given. Where the candidates have been helped, the design done by the candidates do not relate to the results that they have recorded in their tables of results. Ma'am, allow me to express our gratitude to you. Just like in PLE, when you released the results, we knew that during the UCE examination period also, you were on the campaign trail with His Excellency the President. Again, it is our belief that although you were on the campaign trail, you found time to pray for the success of this exercise. And God, whom you so faithfully serve, Mama, answered those prayers, and the examination went very smoothly to the end. Thank you very much, Mama, and that's why we are here today. I want to thank my chair, Professor Celestino Bois, and his members of the board for the prompt decisions that they make on matters referred to them by management and the guidance that they give. I applaud and praise my technical team at UNEB for the meticulous work leading to assessment of the second cohort of the competency-based curriculum candidates. Ma'am, I'm waiting for an applause from... They have continued, these members, they have continued to give it everything. They've given their time, their intellect, their innovations, and their energy to ensure the success of this curriculum. I thank the security agencies which assisted the board during the monitoring of the field conduct of the examination, the area supervisors, heads of examination centers, scouts and invigilators that did a great job during the conduct of the examination as required by the stipulated board's regulations. I'm grateful to the scorers who handled the candidates' scripts and completed this work on time to enable other processes to take place, culminating in the release of these results. I also thank the heads of the schools that allowed UNEB to use their premises as marking centers. Finally, Mama, allow me to congratulate all the candidates who have qualified for the UCE certificate, the teachers who guided their learning, and their parents and guardians who provided for and supported them. Those that have not made it and would wish to try again, the board has made it possible for them to do so, as indicated by the chair of the board. I want to say, Mama, that failure is just another opportunity to try again, but this time in a smarter way, as Albert Einstein at one point said. The collection of these results, Mama, we will upload the results on the examination center portals, and each school can therefore upload, or rather download, the results as soon as you officially release them. We do not have any hard copies, but at some point, examination centers that may be interested in obtaining the hard copies will be notified by the board as soon as these hard copies are available for collection from UNEB offices in Chambogo. Parents and candidates and other interested parties wishing to access these results may, as we've done in many years now, use the short messaging service or the SMS on MTN and Airtel mobile networks. These are the only two mobile networks we are using currently. Results of the candidates will be posted on the mobile sets instantly if the correct procedure is followed as per the instructions that we give. But I may caution that, Mama, as soon as you release these results, the traffic might be very heavy and there could be some delay, slight delay in getting the results. But when the correct information is entered, the candidates will get results. Those who may not be having their results for one reason or another, you will get a message for you to contact your school. When you see that message, it means there's a little bit of a problem which the head teacher has been informed about. So our instructions are as usual. You go to the messages, you type UCE, and you leave space, and you give the full index number of the candidates. When I talk about full index number, I mean the center number, that is U0 something something stroke the candidate's number, which may be 001 or whatever other number. Some of the people who have problems do not enter the center number. They only enter the candidate's number of 001. If you do that, you will not get any results. When you've done all this, then you send to 6600 on the MTN and Airtel networks that I have said. Submission of results queries. Mama, I want to urge heads of examination centers to study the results, the result lists that they are going to download, and submit any queries either on the name spelling, the date of birth, or any abnormality that they may identify, to send this to UNEB Secretariat via their portals within 21 working days from the date of release, so that the board can look at these queries and rectify where possible. Any query that is submitted after this period may not be attended to in good time. Mama, I want to conclude. We continue to pray to the Almighty God to bless His Excellency the President as he prepares to begin the new term of office that the people of Uganda have given him through their overwhelming vote. Mama, we also pray, may God bless you as you support the President and as you guide the Ministry of Education and Sports. I also pray for my institution, UNEB. May God guide us to work in accordance with His will in the service of His people. May God bless our parliament and may God bless our motherland, Uganda. Mama, thank you very much for your kind attention. I submit.
I think you all agree with me that UNEB, under the excellent stewardship of Mama, have done a tremendous job. Asante sana. Merci beaucoup. At this moment in time, I would like to request the UNEB chair person and the ED to hand over the results to the First Lady and the Minister of Education and Sports. We shall also have one photo opportunity during that occasion. We are very mean with our hand clap. I definitely knew that Dr. Musene is around, and when it comes to the Kalulu and the Basoga, exactly. Thank you.
Meet our valued partner, OKX. OKX is a global leader in crypto and digital assets with over 70 million users worldwide, supporting women's leadership and financial empowerment worldwide.
What is perceived sometimes as risk averse is actually a risk awareness. So I think now is the time. Women are not waiting to be invited to the dialogue. Women are creating the dialogue.
Together we grow stronger.
The country and officially release the UCE 2025 examination results.
Thank you very much, MC. Mama, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, my colleagues, the Honorable Minister of State for Education and Sports, allow me also to ride on that agenda protocol which was presented to us, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Mama, here we gather here today for yet another occasion of national importance, and that is the release of the 2025 Uganda Certificate of Education examination results. Across the entire country, thousands of candidates and their families are eagerly waiting for this moment. Mama, I want to thank you for accepting to grace this function with your personal presence. Mama, I want to thank you. Mama, we thank you for accompanying Muzei, supporting Muzei during that very difficult time, and congratulations. Mama, as one of the supervisors of this docket, I had many opportunities to try to understand and monitor what's going on in UNEB. Mama, I want to say UNEB is doing a wonderful job. I'm told that that kind of clapping was for the old days of Amin. Mama, I extend my sincere appreciation to the Ugandan National Examination Board for the professional manner in which they have conducted and managed this year's examination process. I commend the Executive Secretary, the technical teams, supervisors, examiners, security personnel, and all partners who ensured integrity, credibility, and a timely processing of these examinations. I equally extend appreciation to all those who assisted, like the parents and the administrators. The UC examination marks a significant transition in the academic journey of our learners. It opens pathways to advanced secondary education, technical and vocational training, and other skill development opportunities aligned with our national development goals. As a government, we remain very committed to strengthening quality assurances, curriculum implementation, and equitable access to education at all levels. Mama, as we continue implementing the lower secondary school curriculum, which is popularly known as competence-based curriculum, I would like to remind my teachers that this curriculum is intensive and requires your full physical presence and creativity for it to be effectively delivered. Schools should also provide learners with adequate time to rest and to work on their projects, as it came out in the report. Mama, with your permission, of course, it's now my honor to invite you to address the nation and release the UC examination results for 2025 to the entire country. Thank you very much, Mama.
Thank you so much, and please sit down.
Professor Celestine Obua. We have the ED of UNEP, Mr. Dan Nokrach Odong. You're most welcome. Mama, we have the ED of NCDC, Dr. Bernadette. You're most welcome. We have the ED of UHAPAB, Mukaka Risa. Oh, I think she has not yet reached. We have Mr. Onesimus Oyesuje, the ED of UBTAB. Mama, we have the PS of Education Service Commission, Dr. Lukwago. I don't know whether the deputy chairperson of the Education Service Commission is around. Yes. Honorable Opolot Jacobs Richards. Thank you for coming. Mama, we have our distinguished commissioners. You may all stand up for recognition. We have the foot soldiers, the staff of UNEP. And the other foot soldiers, the staff of Ministry of Education and Sports. You may stand up for recognition. Mama, today we have a very big team of the Fourth Estate, our beloved press. You may stand up for recognition. Thank you for always supporting the ministry, for always responding to our call. Thank you very much. If there is anyone that I've forgotten, I'm reliably informed we have Ashu. Yes. And also a member of the board of UNEB, Madame Zulaika. Currently the head teacher of Masaka SS. Thank you very much. With your permission, Mama, may I take this singular honor of inviting the UNEB chairperson to give his opening remarks.
The First Lady and Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, the Honorable Ministers of State for Education, the Chairperson and members of the Parliamentary Committee on Education and Sports, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, members of the Uganda National Examinations Board present, the Executive Director, Uganda National Examinations Board, senior members of staff of the Ministry of Education and Sports and that of UNEB, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted, Mama, to be presenting to you the results of the 2025 Uganda Certificate of Examinations. The year 2025 was also a very busy year, Mama. The competency-based assessment requires that the items generated are presented and their psychometric properties analyzed before they can be used in the examination. This was not a requirement in the old curriculum. Whereas in the 2024 UNEB was treading on new ground, the 2025 Terian was more familiar and our capacity greatly improved. I thank the Executive Director and staff for the hard work that has enabled the release of the results of the second cohort of candidates under the competency-based curriculum. Mama, during the results of the release of the 2024 examination, I stated that the competency-based curriculum was a good one. This was from information gleaned from interactions with some stakeholders. Last year, the board undertook a study to get empirical information on the benefits of the competency-based curriculum from the perspectives of the school administrators, teachers, and learners themselves. The need for this study was reinforced by your wish to get an answer to the legitimate question of how did the learners under the CBC differ from those under the old content-based curriculum. The results confirm this as a very good curriculum, destined to produce the kind of Ugandans that the country needs to propel its socioeconomic growth to the middle income status that we envisage. The results of the study indicate that the learners research and can construct knowledge. They are creative, innovative, and communicate better. The details are in the summary that will be presented by the Executive Director. However, the study reveals some gaps that may impact the teaching learning process, and these include inadequate library with internet facilities that the learners need to aid their research work. Large class sizes. Both teachers and learners who participated in the study point out that this makes it difficult for teachers to attend to learners who may need help. The expenses associated with project work, the inadequate time for learners to do their research. Here they appear to suggest that classes should end earlier. The possibility of this could be explored. And the other issue was the integrity of the continuous assessment scores. The teachers in this study expressed worry that some schools are submitting scores that are not derived from the actual work of the learners in the course of their learning. Mama, the integrity of scores is something that the board takes very seriously. Provisions have therefore been made to institute a rigorous monitoring and evaluation exercise in schools throughout the country to ensure that schools are adhering to the guidelines set by the board and that the scores are reliable. The other continuous assessment issue the board will address is the late or non-submission of the continuous assessment scores. Many schools submit continuous assessment scores months past the deadline, putting the affected learners at risk of not being graded. Schools cite inadequacy of internet facilities and or lack of expertise. The board will apply appropriate sanctions to such schools. Ma'am, aware of the central role the teachers play, the board included them among the stakeholders to be engaged, along with chief administrative officers, district education officers. The board, therefore, expects them to ensure that the continuous assessment processes are monitored and scores are submitted. I would like to congratulate the candidates who have qualified for the award of the UCE certificate. For those who will want to try again, the board has taken the decision that their continuous assessment and project scores submitted for Senior 3 will be used so that they do not have to get back to Senior 3 as has been feared by some of the stakeholders. Mama, I thank the teachers who have made tremendous efforts to adapt their pedagogical practices to the competency-based curriculum. Mama, even with the little specialized training they have received so far, the majority of teachers have done extremely well. Thank you. I thank the parents and the guardians for supporting the learners. And I'm grateful, Mama, for delegating Honorable Dr. J.C. Moyingo, Minister of State for Higher Education, to officiate at the swearing in of the members of the 12th Governing Board for UNEB. The occasion went smoothly last Monday, 9th February 2026. This has ensured that all the functions of the board have not been interrupted. Mama, I also concur with the MC in congratulating you and Mzee for your expertise in speaking different languages in the country, in supporting Mzee during the campaigns, the results of which have left many of people who are doubting how powerful Mzee is, particularly how powerful you are in campaigning. Thank you for having supported Mzee. It's now for me, Mama, to invite the Executive Director to present the release statement of the 2025 UCE examination. Thank you for listening to me.
The First Lady and the Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, the Honorable Ministers of Education, State Ministers for Education, and Mama, you will allow me to ride on the protocol already established by my chairperson. I seek your indulgence, Mama, to allow me to present briefly a summary of the study that my chairperson referred to in his remarks. Thank you, Mama. We have circulated some copies of this study. This is brief, so the researchers that are sitting here should not start asking questions about methodology and literature review and so on. This is a synopsis, a very brief summary of what happened. Mama, as a background, UNEB prepared to conduct the end of cycle assessment for the first cohort under the new lower secondary curriculum, which we now appropriately refer to as the competency-based curriculum. Some stakeholders in education wondered whether the products of the new curriculum were indeed better than those that went through the old curriculum. On the face of it, the new curriculum was meant to produce learners who would exhibit the generic 21st century skills of critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration, problem solving, among others. Skills which were majorly lacking in the old content-based curriculum. However, 4 years into the implementation of the curriculum, no empirical evidence existed that the learners were indeed acquiring these skills as casual observations appeared to suggest. The Honorable Minister of Education and Sports posed a question, that was you, Mama. What is the difference between the learners who have gone through the new curriculum and those that went under the old curriculum? UNEB conducted a study in an attempt to provide an evidence-based answer to the Honorable Minister's question. The results are a summary of the main study document. This study was conducted alongside the 2025 National Assessment of Progress in Education NAPES survey to assess our Senior 2 learners' achievements. The methodology we used, Mama, was face-to-face interviews, which we held with 44 head teachers, and focus group discussions, which were conducted with teachers and Senior 4 learners in 171 secondary schools across the country. These schools, Mama, were part of those that were selected for the 2025 NAPES survey. The interviews and the discussions with the school heads, teachers, and the learners themselves were deemed to be the most efficient way to gather insights into the benefits of the curriculum to the learners and to their local communities. The schools that were selected, Mama, were both government-aided and privately owned schools, both rural and urban, and boarding and day. So all the categories of schools were included in this study. The key findings, Honorable Minister, results showed that 93% of the head teachers that we were interviewed and the teachers in at least 96% of the schools that were surveyed agreed that the current learners demonstrate stronger problem-solving skills. That is, they can reason and analyze, they can do research on their own. They have also communication skills. In other words, they can communicate more fluently and have self-esteem. And creativity and innovation ability, that is, they are more practical, they think and reason better compared to those educated under the old curriculum. Under the sub-theme of